What to do, YouTube? This is Acid Root. So I'm going to review Waka Flocka's mixtape from 2009, Salute Me or Shoot Me Too. Now, he had a number of mixtapes from 2009. I want to say that his debut mixtape was actually Salute Me or Shoot Me 1. And then he had a mixtape with Slim Duncan called Twin Towers that also came out in 2009. But Waka was actually on a pretty big mixtape grind back in 2009 and 2010 leading up to his project Flockabelly, and this is one of the many ousting projects that he did in that time period. So Waka basically built up a good underground buzz, got a lot of mixtape cuts like Oh Let's Do It and Go Hard in the Paint and Love Them Gun Sounds and Same Shit and some of those type records. There's probably a couple other ones, but I just feel like the thing that Waka Flocka helped popularize was kind of a little bit of early drill music, the stuff that Chief Keef and Pop Smoke were kind of doing, but he kind of did that in a more kind of dirty South type vision of that, and it was kind of interesting to kind of get that. It's too bad that that sound isn't really around as much because I did like records like Go Hard in the Paint and like certain other ones. It's not off. It wasn't all the time that Waka Flocka did this, but he did it enough, especially with the producer Lex Luger, that kind of had the impression as far as trying to get some of that done. So it was just kind of interesting to get that. But in 2009, it was still kind of in its earlier stages as far as Waka Flocka doing it. And I don't know if he really had Lex Luger that much on this project. I know that at least Go Hard in the Paint is on this mixtape. This seems to be its earliest debut or something. But I kind of look after it. I kind of look after it because there's so minimal information about some of these mixtapes sometimes, and Wikipedia doesn't really have the information, and Dat Piff has been having a lot of problems recently. It's difficult to kind of figure out, like, I don't even know the guests that are on this album. I don't know the producers who produced the tracks. I want to say at least like Mike Will made it is on here, but I don't know for certain. So there's a lot of mystery kind of question marks on here. I know that Gucci Mane, I at least managed to hear Gucci Mane on here a couple of times, like on the song Brand New and also on the song What You Reppin'. But other than that, I really don't know too many of the guests. I was also able to distinguish that Slim Duncan is on here a handful of times too, but that's just kind of the concept. So there's not really any singles. I will go ahead. There's not really any singles, but I will go ahead and talk about some of the highlights. So out of 19 songs, there's 23 songs on here, but 4 of them are skits, intros, and outros. So I'm going to say, yeah, there's 19 songs on here. So out of those 19 songs, I'm going to go ahead and recommend the 8 or 9 songs that I recommend. So there's actually 8.5 because there's 10 songs I recommend to you, but 2 of them are almost songs. And then the other 8 I'll go ahead and talk about. So the 8 songs I recommend would be Blunt Music, Damn, I'm Just Living Life, Let's Go. Let's Go is the 4th song. Same Shit, Street Nigga, What You Reppin', and Where Them Gangstas Be. The two almost songs would be, the first one is Go Hard, which is Go Hard in the Paint, and the second almost song is Lambo This Summer. So those are the 2 almost songs. So I'll talk about the almost songs first. The reason why I didn't recommend Go Hard in the Paint is because you can find it on Waka Flocka's Flockabelly album, and it's just better on the album. The album version is better than the mixtape version, in my opinion. So that's why that one's an almost song. And Lambo This Summer, I kind of like the sparkling, kind of glitzy disco kind of beat on Lambo This Summer, but because of all the mixtape jargon that was kind of a part of it, it made it kind of somewhat, the experience wasn't quite as abrasive as I would have liked it to have been. But it is a good song in most contexts, but it's just the mixtape. A big complaint I have about this album is this is really like a mixtape where it has a lot of like the bringing it back type stuff and the DJ cuts and the spins and the replays and all that different type of stuff. So it's just not quite as album quality as I would have liked. It's very much a street kind of edited kind of version, and this has like the cuts and the mixtape kind of jargon that kind of goes along with it. So I'm just especially finding this on a different mixtape website, which is not Dat Piff. It was kind of underneath the impression I would really thoroughly enjoy an album quality version of Salute Me or Shoot Me Too, because that, I mean, there's so many tracks on here that I felt like I did like some of the DJ replays and that type stuff, and the cuts and the edits and all that, but I really would have felt like a lot of these beats on here with some of the mixtape type jargon removed from it probably would have made for a pretty sufficient album. But it's just very raw. That's kind of the concept. But Lambo to Summer is an example of a song that's pretty raw, has a lot of the editing in there, but it is a good beat, kind of a sparkly electronic kind of beat. And some more beats like that. I feel like Damn and Same Shit are like that too. And then there's another one that kind of is Where Them Gangstas Be. So I feel like there's some real glittery kind of sparkly kind of club beats on here. Damn. Yeah, like Damn and Where Them Gangstas Be are both some real glittery, sparkling kind of club beats that just have a real nice tempo towards them and are just perfect for a glitzy kind of mannerism for stepping out and such. I feel like What You Reppin's a pretty good kind of more street club single. This is definitely kind of a rougher one, but it definitely has like a pretty raw and pretty rough kind of club pace. It's just a quick up tempo pace, and a lot of Gucci Mane's Brick Squad Monopoly group is on here, like Frenchie and Woo Da Kid. I think Slim Duncan's on here, and Gucci Mane even lays a verse. So What You Reppin's a real good one. Same Shit has one of the best beats on this whole project. This is just a sparkling and a complete standout. I mean, I would definitely try to find like an album quality version of this song, because the mixtape version is good, but the real album quality version of Same Shit does it complete justice. That's one of the best ones. Let's Go is a pretty nice one. This is a good example of just like a more kind of like darker kind of club type song. Definitely a more rigid and kind of more haunting kind of one. It definitely has a lot more creepy kind of veneer towards it. Some of the more creepy type songs that were on Flockavelli and stuff definitely like the edgy kind of bats in a belfry kind of creepiness in there and that sort of stuff. That's a nice one. I feel like Blunt Music is another example of such a song. Blunt Music is another song that's pretty close to Let's Go. This is another kind of haunting kind of one. It's pretty interesting to kind of get some of these just because it's not quite horrorcore that Waka Flocka does, but it definitely has like a lot of creepy exterior. It definitely has a lot of creepy exterior towards it, which is pretty awesome just to kind of get. And yeah, I'm Just Living Life is an example of another song like Go Hard in the Paint. This is definitely a drill song. It's kind of a mellow drill song, not quite as ferocious as Go Hard in the Paint, but it's definitely in the same valve as that and has similarities. This is kind of, because of the mixtape quality, it's a little bit calmer a song, but it's still, to me, and it's still, in my opinion, a pretty rock solid drill song. It's just too bad that Waka Flocka didn't perfect this genre. I guess because Go Hard debuted on this project, he just was starting to realize that this was going to be a hit. But it was definitely one that kind of helped circulate drill music, at least in a certain sense, for the South and that sort of thing. So I'm Just Living Life is a great one. And so yeah, that's one of my main complaints about this project, is just the mixtape quality version of this project really kind of drags it down, and it just makes it a lot more raw and kind of rugged and not quite as polished as it probably needs to be, because there's a lot of cuts on here that I think could service and be serviceable to be in like a standard club today and that type stuff, but with all the editing and DJ cuts and shouts and all that type stuff, it'd probably make it a little bit. I think within the degree of it is just kind of, I do like some of that stuff, but I do kind of feel like, I think with all the DJ shouts and the edits and the throwbacks and the rollbacks and that type of stuff that kind of goes along with it, it kind of detracts from it being able to have the quality as far as it having the replayability. Because I do think it's kind of half and half. It just depends upon your like veneer for mixtapes. If you are a mixtape enthusiast, then this should fit right at home. But if you're looking for just like album cuts and just songs to kind of play in that type of stuff, I feel like some of the editing and kind of rawness and ruggedness can kind of get tiresome. And because I review a lot of stuff on YouTube, because I review a lot of music and that type of stuff, I kind of get used to some of the album quality type stuff. But it's a very raw project, and I think that kind of detracts from the overall feeling, just because I do like some of this edited stuff, but I kind of feel like it really, because these beats are so good, and a lot of these are so thorough in quality, it's really disappointing that you can't find just like album quality stuff to be able to really blast some of the stuff, because a lot of this would compete with some of the stuff out there in like 2022, 2023 and such. That's kind of the thing. But to complain about some of this project, like, I really felt like the beat brand new, even though it has Gucci Mane on there, was probably one of the worst beats on the whole project. This was really kind of trying to be like a real popish type song. It's real kind of tinkerish and that type of stuff. Didn't really like that one. And there were some other ones like Like I felt like All I Know, I didn't really like the violin in that song. That one was just kind of a bad arrangement. I do like violins in rap songs, but that the way that that one turned out didn't quite work. And then the Bang for Life was kind of like a pop rap version of like a song that just talks about gang banging and that type of stuff, which was kind of an odd arrangement, but I just felt like it didn't quite deliver as well. I Am an Illusion was kind of a bad. That one was just way too mixtape heavy. Had way too much mixtape stuff going on in it. It was just a real kind of chore to listen to. I felt like the You song, the WHEEW song, like phew, that song. That one was just kind of a gimmick song, which I felt was unnecessary. It was kind of a decent beat, but I just felt like trying to make that into a gimmick song. Sometimes I feel like the songs that they choose as gimmick songs happen to be on real good beats that should have just been regular songs. It's too bad that that kind of happens. But this is kind of the context, and there's just some ones on here that just have like some like another bad beat, a real pretty awful beat is Down Ass Girl Part 2. This is one that's the Waka Flocka with him generally being in the raw and super street cuts, him trying to do a track for the ladies just didn't was not very convincing as far as that kind of went. I mean, I know he probably has like some hood bitches and that type of stuff, but it just was not a very vivid and interesting listen. I definitely felt like some of the Waka Flocka ladies cuts later. I'm trying to think of some of them like I don't even know. I mean, really, like the stuff he was doing on Triple F Life, like the song he did with Nicki Minaj, and some of those were just better. But at this kind of stage, it just was kind of a flat kind of song. So there's just a number of kind of songs on here that have like a lot of mixtape editing that kind of detracts from the experience, and just some kind of bad placement of beats, and just some kind of plodding along execution that just didn't quite live up to it. But I mean, I feel like I have to reiterate that this is a pretty rock solid project for the most part. I guess I'll go ahead and score this because I like 10 songs out of 19, or basically eight and a half, 9 songs out of 19. I'm going to go ahead and give this mixtape like a 6 out of 10. I feel like that's pretty solid enough. I know that there's approximately half the project I didn't like, but I feel like because it's a mixtape and there's so many free cuts on here that happen to kick ass and have that kind of potential, it's just good. But the main detractment I feel like from this project is just the fact that it just doesn't have an album quality version, which it desperately needs. I feel like there's I feel like there's some clumsy cuts on here, but for the most part, that's manageable just because of the quality of the good songs on here. But it's just kind of, there's just not a lot of information about this project out there. And on top of that, it's just kind of like very raw and rugged, as if it was just meant for only like street factions, and that's it. And that just kind of happens to be a thing. So, which is not the truth. I feel like this definitely deserves some expression, but it just seems to really be for the hardcore only, which it shouldn't be. So the social score, I will go ahead and give a 7 out of 10 because of this, because there's actually some quality cuts on here, and if you can dissect through all the screams and the replays and all that type of stuff, you can actually find some good type moments to kind of go along with. So that's just kind of the thing. 7 social, definitely some good club bops on here. And in terms of the future, Waka Flocka is basically retired from music and that type of stuff. But I definitely feel like he has enough good music to kind of be able to circulate and get some of that going. It's just kind of the concept of being able to find it and being able to edit it and get it to the point of having it have the polish like he did and he mastered so well on his Flockavelli album.